Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Our Free Abundance. So in today's live video, I'm going to be doing another recap of my African Ancestry Remember Who You Are study guide. I have done various topics that are listed in this book. So I'm going to go through another topic that I feel is relevant to some of the experiences that I deal with as an African American woman. As you can see in the title of this video, this one is going to be regarding appearances and what is said here to be the off-base assumptions about you as a Black woman and what experiences you get from people and your surroundings and so on and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and share that section because there are two parts. Now, the first part, I have a much longer answer for it, so I haven't completely finished it. However, I will go over it and just kind of read what the topic is about. And the question here, so this one is about, as I stated, appearance. And for this one, so the first section, when you get into it, will have some quotes at the top, and I'm going to read what it says at the top here, and I'll just share what I'm reading. That way you can see more interactively where I'm going with this. So they usually have topics at the top of the page here and quotes to read. So I'm going to go ahead and read what this one says. So this one states here, and when you march and protest or find some way to take a stand. And this is basically talking about throughout history how appearances have affected African Americans in their productivity as civil rights activists. Has there been any difference in receiving that justice based on how you dress? So it states here at the top, civil rights activists used being well dressed during protests as a strategy to have their requests for fair treatment under the law taken seriously. They wore their Sunday best, in quotations. So what it's asking here in this first exercise is to kind of ask yourself, do you personally think that that type of Sunday best strategy worked? Does it work, in terms of back then? Do we feel like it worked? And relative to right now, is there a belief that our appearances are helping us in achieving equal rights? So, like I said, I didn't really finish this one because I had to kind of go back and think about the relativity to the times and how things are very different now, especially being someone who is, within the diaspora as a millennial, and how different our society is now regarding appearances. And I felt like I had to kind of go back and change some of my answer because there's a lot of differences in the time period that they were in then, and then, the kind of wild time period that we're in now. So I will definitely follow up with my answers for that one. So this is going to be on page 21, appearance, and then the second exercise is going to be on page 22. And this exercise, I'm going to read the question here and then I'll read my answer. My answer is kind of in three different parts based on various experiences. For anyone here on my channel who otherwise doesn't know me personally, when it comes to, my religion and my faith, I am Muslim. So a lot of my experiences that I have experienced being a Black Muslim woman definitely have played a part in why I have provided these answers, because there's definitely a lot of racism even within religious groups and I think it's important for people to understand that there's nowhere that we can escape to where racism doesn't exist. So, in this exercise, the question here is, have you ever experienced someone making an off base assumption about you or who you are because of your appearance? And how did you handle it? So, like I said, based on, being a Muslim revert, someone who was not born Muslim, but who took Shahada and accepted Islam as my religion, I definitely have some pieces in here that will definitely highlight some of the experiences that I have had from, individuals, men, and, just kind of seeing these social media trends that are very anti Black woman. So I wrote here, as a woman who wears head coverings and, like I just stated, and now being a Black Muslim hijabi, I regularly am met with the undue assumption that I must not have any hair. I must lack self esteem and confidence. And Islamically, I must, and this is something that I experience in terms of the opinions of men when it comes to hijabis who wear their hair covered, and these assumptions that they have when it comes to what your hair looks like, not even ever having seen a strand of your hair. They have these very aggressive assumptions, like I said, that you must have no hair, you must not love your hair must be so hard to handle that you know, aren't confident in yourself. So it states here, I've heard some things like you must, and I mean very assumptively, not like truth based or factually based assumptions. But I have heard things like, if you resort to the use of artificial hair, you're going to Jahannam. And anyone who is Muslim knows Jahannam is another word in Islam for hell. So I've heard a lot of things of people saying, well, if you feel like in order to be beautiful that you need to wear a wig for your husband, just know that you're going to hell. And I feel like that's a very aggressive assumption to be made about Black women, that we must all resort to artificial hair in order to feel beautiful. And that is definitely something that is an off-put assumption that does not relate to me in anything that I believe in for myself. So there are definitely a lot of mixed emotions around this appearance topic when it comes to also being a Black hijabi who covers her hair. I also wrote in here, like I said, without ever even knowing you, without ever, seeing my crown, I definitely said, in regards to how I handle it, it definitely infuriates me. It makes me upset and angry to hear a lot of, people in the Muslim world even, talking about how secondary to marriage you become as a Black woman because of your hair and because of these wild, aggressive assumptions that you're not going to be enough for a man. I've seen a lot of social media trends where a lot of, moms are asking their sons' spouses to see what their hair looks like in order to determine if they're good enough for their sons. And I feel like that definitely perpetuates that violent hatred that we already have in our Black society and within the Black Muslim Ummah against Black women. And it definitely makes them feel like they have an excuse to harm us and to abuse us mentally, physically, emotionally, verbally. So it's definitely a hot topic for me when it comes to my religion and my race, and every part of my existence is affected by this bias. So I feel like I also said it infuriates me because, it's hard to understand why our society is so subconsciously fueled by these ideas about us as Black women and not even knowing anything, to be someone who is covered and who does it for Allah and who doesn't do it for anyone else. To be subjected to such hatred when they have never even, been in personal spaces with you to see what your hair looks like. I mean, Islamically, there are laws that prevent us from even showing our hair to certain individuals who are not inside of our family, who are not, our fathers or our brothers. We're not allowed to show anyone our hair. We're not allowed to express that beautified side of ourselves unless it is with our spouses or with people that we trust who are not going to harm us. So those are the protections that Allah gives to us through hijab in the first place. However, I wrote on here, our society has succeeded at making this, bitter pill ratiolated consensus that seems, people try to approach it like they're being empathetic and altruistic to, the Black woman's struggle, but it's also coming off in a very aggressive, assumptive way because it's like, well, how do you even know, um, what's going on under here? How do you, create all of these ideologies about women that you can't even see? There's already this issue with covered women and women who are modest where our society is shaming us for being covered. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword here. Being covered is already a problem, but to be a Black woman who is covered, there is this weird idea that in order to be culturally significant, you must have to not be modest in any nature. So it's definitely a topic that really is very, very hot. It is a very hot topic for me. But I felt like, kind of bringing this topic to the forefront because it is something that is stated within this journal. And I think it's very good to resonate on. Like I said on multiple occasions, being an African American woman within the diaspora who identifies as an African American to begin with, because I don't shy away from owning my African identity, and also raising a Black girl, having a Black child, a daughter, in this type of climate of society and wanting her to be modest. This is definitely a topic that I have to discuss with her and, try to get her to understand at a very young age that there are a lot of stereotypes and things that people are going to say to you, or, silent ways that they're going to, discard your authenticness to yourself based on biases. So if you could see in my background, I always, when it comes to my daughter, like I've stated on multiple occasions, I use these tools through dolls, because what better way to get your child to see themselves for who they are than to, authenticate their identity through play. So, like I said, I do have a business started for my daughter where she will be designing and dressing dolls, Black dolls, modestly. And, it helps her to understand how she should want to dress and how she should want to see herself as beautiful. So a lot of our dolls that we have, we will have, those dolls available for sale in the coming new year. Just kind of getting all of the bells and whistles ironed out and trying to figure out what her ideas are going to be for her designs are going to be crucial for this niya that I have. And anyone who's non-Muslim, the word niya means your intentions. There's a lot of intentionality behind why I feel that Black girls need to be seeing modest dressed dolls, modest, appearance influences on social media, because there is just so much of an influx of inappropriate and disgusting images that Black girls should not be brainwashed with in order to feel like that's what makes you a Black woman. So I definitely, like I said, we redress our dolls, we, put hijabs on them, make them look beautiful and still be modest and not have to, feel like in order to embrace my culture, I have to be some lewd, vile individual in order to prove that I'm Black. There's just a lot of really negative things that I personally have dealt with growing up and that I am experiencing and witnessing for my daughter. So there's definitely a lot of doll theory when it comes to why I use these as tools for our self-actualization practices. So, for anyone who enjoyed this topic or who has any input on how detrimental our society has become for Black girls and the Black experience altogether in general, I would definitely appreciate your feedback and, just being able to talk back and forth with other Black sisters, whether you're, Muslim, hijabi, or, non Muslim. I feel like it is very important for us to voice our experiences and not be chastised or criminalized for speaking our experiences to existence because it appeases those who otherwise do not care about our experiences. So I feel that it is very important to cultivate these spaces. Like I've said in, various videos, and it is listed in my bio link description here on YouTube. I do not tolerate any type of hatred that is fueled towards African identified people, Black people, within the diaspora, on the continent, outside of the continent, anywhere where our people are being torn down. I do not accept that type of behavior here on my channel. So this is a safe space for those topics to be discussed and, expressed in a constructive way. So, like I said before, I will have a lot more content coming in the new year that is definitely going to be, speaking more about these experiences because, in this new generation that we have of our Gen Zers and all of these young people who are coming up, they very much have a very skewed sense of the Black experience and what culture is and who we are. So I feel like we have a duty as older individuals, someone who is, 30 plus years old, who has a platform of experience to use it in a constructive way so that our future does not look so disgusting as it does now. And, children are being misled into inappropriate platforms online, being, basically hunted down by, criminals in our society to, become these lesser valued individuals that they do not deserve to be. So I feel like for anyone who is in support of this movement, like I said, I definitely would appreciate your feedback. I'm definitely an advocate when it comes to keeping children pure and keeping their surroundings in a positive nature, especially as a mom. Before becoming a mom, it's something that I was always intentional about when it came to when I was going to have my children, boy or girl, it doesn't matter. Boys need to be taught to be modest as well. I don't feel like modesty is something that is only gender based because boys need to be taught how to be modest just as well as women. And Islamically, that is something that is shown and taught with, protecting your aura and guarding your chastity. So it's definitely something that is for both male and female. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it 2 thumbs up, comment, subscribe to my channel for more DIYs, recipes, and reviews. Thank you so much for watching.